In the readings for this week, we were introduced to the concept of whole systems leadership, which is, according to the article, quote, a framework for understanding the practice of leadership that recognizes that individuals, groups, and organizations operate in an interconnected environment. The articles talked about 6 components of whole systems leadership: deep listening, an awareness of how systems work, an awareness of oneself, the ability to work with and the willingness to seek out diverse perspectives, the ability to suspend the need for certainty and to embrace uncertainty, the capacity for adaptive action. And there's a 7th that I would add that I think is equally important, and that is the willingness and the ability to face and manage conflict. Now, these 7 dimensions that I've just mentioned, deep listening, awareness of systems, awareness of self, seeking diverse perspectives, suspending the need for certainty, capacity for adaptive action, and facing conflict, frame the work of this course. And we want to start this week by simply looking for them in an established leader, Dr. William Haidt, the superintendent of the Philadelphia school system. And in so doing, we want to become aware of how all these variables go into this thing we call being a leader. Now, for those of you in the Philadelphia area, particularly those of you involved with the schools, Dr. Haidt is a very familiar person. For others of you, this will be your first introduction to him. So let me say a little bit about him. Dr. William Haidt was hired in the summer of 2012 into a district that was facing major financial challenges. Then the Pennsylvania State Legislature refused to increase necessary, and many of us would also add required by law, funding, which pitched the district into even a deeper financial hole. So that by the fall of 2013, just a year after he started, Dr. Haidt faced some extremely difficult decisions. Faced with significant shortages in funding, he had to determine how to open the schools with the limited resources he had at his disposal. So in that fall of 2013, he proposed that 23 schools be closed. 19 of them were eventually closed. And support and service positions like aides and nurses and support staff were severely curtailed. Arts and music and sports programs were cut back. And then in 2014, still operating with limited funds, Dr. Haidt promised that no more schools would be closed, and yet the financial shortfall continued. Now, for more details on these issues, I encourage you to read the brief articles that are posted in the other course materials area of the content section in Brightspace. Now, most of us are in the habit of evaluating our leaders on how their actions affect us. Our evaluations are highly subjective, focusing on how a leader's decisions impact us either positively or negatively. But in this week's discussion, our purpose is not to evaluate Dr. Haidt's leadership or debate whether the decisions he made were the right decisions. Rather, our task is to try and identify the ways in which Dr. Haidt does or does not exhibit the characteristics of whole systems leadership. Where does he seem to listen? How does he seem to be aware of the dynamics of systems? How does he deal with uncertainty? How adaptive is he to changing circumstances? And so on. Now, we're going to explore each of these characteristics in more depth throughout the semester. This week, we just want to look for them. Think of those 6 characteristics of whole systems leadership that you read about in the articles, and analyze Dr. Haidt's leadership and decision-making in light of those characteristics of whole systems leadership. That's your task for this week. I look forward to interacting with you and learning with you about this very important framework for understanding what leadership is.